Hi, you guys. How are you all today?
Very happy that it's Saturday.
Saturdays are good days, aren't they? Yeah, we're heading out to the garden after this. I've got to get the rest of the vegetables in. So, and it's getting cold. We're supposed to be down in the 20s tonight. So, yeah, let me think. I'm trying, and I'm so sorry, everybody who's here. I am. If you know me at all, you know that I'm not super great with technology. This is actually the first time I've ever done a slideshow on this kind of program. I used to teach school, but I taught elementary school, so we didn't have a lot of PowerPoints. We just, stood up there and talked. But all right, so let me. I'm going to share my screen and. Okay, and people are still kind of coming in too, so let's see. Where to put this? Okay, let's see here. I'm not sure what you guys are all able to see. Can you see the slides okay? If let's see if you can. Oh yes, okay, awesome.
I'm seeing the five, just the topic, the 5 herbs, but I'm not seeing multiple slides.
Okay, all right. Okay. I hope this works. If it doesn't, you won't have anything to look at it except my mug for the next little while. So we'll just go for it here and see how it goes, and hopefully it'll be okay. All right. Okay, so you guys, I'm Heidi Villegas. You probably know a little bit about me since you're here, and you might be on my newsletter list, or maybe you just go to my website all the time. But I love teaching about herbalism. It's one of my favorite things to do, and people are still trickling in. If you guys could mute yourselves when you come in, that would be great. And okay. I'm sorry. I'm just mute everybody here. Okay, I think we're good. All right, you guys. Anyway, today we're just going to go ahead and talk about some common herbs for your medicine chest. And these are herbs that are really easy to get a hold of, that are medicinal, and they're most of them are culinary as well, not all of them. But we're just going to chat about how to use them. I'm going to share a little bit about myself, and yeah, then we'll see how this all goes. And if you guys have questions at the end, we'll go ahead and answer them. But this is me. I'm a grandma. This is my youngest grandchild, and she was out helping me pick chamomile that day. So I'm hoping that I get to pass this legacy on to basically my grandkids and my kids. And that's my goal. One of them. I have a lot of goals, but that's one of them. The other goal that I have is to get an herbalist into every single home, or extended family, I should say. The thing is that the herbal knowledge has been kind of eradicated from our society over the last 150 years. And, we grew up, even me being at the age I am, we grew up in an age where herbal remedies were just not looked, they were looked upon as less than, if they were even known about or used at all. And most people didn't know them, and we just didn't learn about them at all. It's so, I don't know if you're like me, you can go ahead and put in the chat what you think and what your experience was. But my experience was pills and lots of shots, allergy shots, shots for this and that. And as I grew up and got older and got into mostly my 30s, as when I started thinking about everything, I realized that I was not feeling very good. I was very fit. I exercised all the time. I kept myself in shape, and, natural wellness has always been important to me. I tried not to feed my kids very much sugar and, give them good foods, but I wasn't feeling good. And I realized, I thought back to all of the medications in my life, and I had been on a lot at that point. In my 30s, this is back in the 90s, the 80s and the 90s. We didn't know that antibiotics messed up your microbiome. We just didn't know these things. So over time, basically, I just realized I wasn't feeling good. And I had to use over-the-counter drugs to go to sleep at night. I had to use over-the-counter drugs to wake up in the morning. I would drink a lot of coffee, which I still have a cup or two a day, but not like I used to. And I realized that I just wasn't doing the way I should have been doing, I thought, On top of that, I had doctors prescribing me antibiotics because I had rosacea really badly on my face. And I couldn't, my face was a mess. And what they did was they gave us all drugs. That's just what they did. And some really terrible drugs that, in fact, one of them I had to go have my liver tested every month. And so over time, I just realized, okay, this isn't normal. And finally, I had a doctor tell me that my liver was probably shot, and I just cried and thought, this isn't good. So then anyway, I started searching, and I ran across a lady who sold essential oils for Young Living. And that's where I started learning that there were other options. And I began using the essential oils, and they sort of worked, but I didn't know what I was doing with them, to be honest. And then I stumbled across a very old book by Rosemary Gladstar and started reading it. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this. And so I experimented, and lo and behold, those herbs worked. And they worked really well. And on top of that, they worked over time. And over time, I'm going to say, probably a couple of, 15, 20 years, I think my body began to heal itself because of the plant medicine. And so I don't struggle with so many things anymore, you guys. I don't have rosacea anymore. It pops out when I get stressed, but I know what to do with it. I had some very severe back problems. Was looking at surgery, and was on the pain pills, the oxycodones and the Xanax for a while. You guys, that's all gone. It's gone, and it's gone naturally because I figured out what to do to work with my whole body to support it. Yeast infections, I know that's probably TMI, and UTIs, but TMI, too much information. I'm old. I didn't know what that meant for a while. But really, when women take antibiotics, and especially when we're over antibioticed, I like to say, our gut health is really bad, and we get this overgrowth of candida. And now all of a sudden, we're struggling with yeast infections. No more side effects from pills. Guys, I go to sleep just fine. I'm not groggy in the morning. It's wonderful. Everything is just better. I look better and I feel better. Even though I'm almost 60 years old, I feel better than I did when I was in my 40s. So, It's wonderful. And I attribute that all to the plants. And on top of all that, we've saved a ton of money. Like Joe and I sat down and figured out how much we've saved over the last 10 years since we've started like just turning to the natural plants and things. It's at least $8,000. And you guys, I'm hearing a little background noise. If you are unmuted, please mute yourselves. How to
70-30, most of the trash. We've already filled up the trash cans a couple of times.
Okay. Anyhow, I like to consider that we are medically self-reliant at this point, and we know what's in our medications. I know if I give something to my granddaughter, she's not going to get hurt from it, or my other grandchildren. And the nice thing is too, is when you start learning how to use the herbs in your family, you can leave a legacy for your children and your grandchildren. And I think that's just the greatest gift ever, because hopefully, they might grow up and be like us, turning to the pills if their parents are into that, which most people, 90% of people are. But the thing is that I think, I've seen this so many times, people get to a point, and maybe you're here yourself since you're here on an herbal talk, but maybe you're at the point where you're tired of it and you want a different way. Well, we can give that to our children and our grandchildren if we have our journals and everything all set up. So pretty exciting stuff. And anyway, this is just a little bit more about me. I'm not going to go into all that. But basically, I've been studying herbs for a really long time. And I've got several certifications at this point, and I'm working on my clinical studies in aromatherapy. So been many, many years of study. And I want to just say, you do not have to put in all the years of study to be a very, very competent family herbalist in your home. You don't have to do that. You just need to know the basics, and you need to know enough not to hurt yourselves, okay? And otherwise, you can function very, very well without diving into all of the years of study like I did. I did it because I love to go to school. To be honest, I love learning things, and I love going to school, and then I love sharing things with people, and I love giving the things that I make to people too. So that's why I did it. But anyway, herbs have helped thousands to become healthier and more self-reliant, and I love hearing the stories from my students. It's just one of the biggest thrills I get. But this is Sarah. She joined us a few months ago, but she made this magnesium spray. I've got the recipe on my website for this. It's a really great spray. But her husband has cramps at night. She sprayed his legs with it, and he used to roll his eyes, she said. And then finally it worked. Like, it worked immediately. A magnesium oil is wonderful if you have leg cramps, but she's very happy that it's working. So there's one example. There are hundreds, there are thousands. Here's one more from Karen. And she's, trying to get her older children into the herbal medicine. But this is a pretty great win here. She says that her son and his girlfriend were moving out of her house this weekend, and the air was very heavy here, and he has asthma. So that's hard. He'd been moving stuff all day, and he told his mom he didn't feel good. And so she asked him if he wanted to try the mullein and marshmallow tincture, which is so wonderful for your respiratory system. Mullein is like the king of respiratory herbs, very, very safe. And he said yes, if she thought it would help. So she gave him some, and she also used a respiratory roller bottle blend, which is an essential oil blend. So she used the two things in conjunction. And she says it wasn't 10 minutes. And he said, Mom, that stuff helped already. So he didn't even have to use his inhaler. That's a huge win. I just think the minute you can start getting off of your over-the-counter medications, it's a win. Because I don't know how you are, but if you have started down that path with the prescription drugs, you are probably taking drugs for the side effects, and then more drugs for the side effects. And all of a sudden you're looking at your little pill drawer, and you're taking all these things every single day. And I watched my grandmother do that, and my stepdad who just passed away. There's a better way. There's totally a better way. So let's talk about fast tracking your home apothecary and why you should. I feel very strongly about this because it took me so long to get to a competent place with herbs. And when I first began, I was actually telling people some very unsafe things because I didn't know what I didn't know. And I was one of those people who was just knowledgeable enough to be dangerous, but I wasn't knowledgeable enough to actually help people. And I shouldn't have been doing some of the things I was doing. And, that's just a little learning curve. But the thing is that when you have support, it's easy because you can ask somebody questions and make sure that you're doing things the right way. When I started, it was back in the, when I started learning herbs, basically, it was back in the days before there were any online courses. I mean, Herbal Academy of New England wasn't even around. And I took it, my first course was a snail mail course, a correspondence course. And I learned a lot. It was through Rosemary Gladstar, and it got me going. But the thing is that you do need to research and know how to do that. And I love helping people with that. The thing about having your own herbal remedies at hand, like I'm using this one for my carpal tunnel, so I use it several times a day. But what's so nice is it gives you an incredible feeling of empowerment. So I was actually considering carpal tunnel surgery, and I've been using this now pretty consistently for about a month and a half. You guys, I don't have any more carpal tunnel pain. I no longer wake up in the middle of the night with my arms screaming, and I just can't explain to you what that feels like, when you can do something good for yourself, and your family, and not have to go the medical route. Now, sometimes you have to get surgery, and sometimes you have to go the medical route, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you can alleviate it or avoid it, why not? And save money and pain and time and all the things. Anyway, the other thing is having a home apothecary for your family makes you medically self-reliant to a great extent. So we've all seen the store shelves and the supply chain issues. And, we saw what it was like the March before this last one, where things were actually bare. The thing is, and we all know that there's cargo ships floating in the ocean. I don't know what is up with that, but that's crazy. The thing is that the more you can do for yourself, the more benefit you are with your family, the more safe your family is. Okay. The more you're not going to be hurting, if you can't get a hold of the things that you need. So anyway, I've chatted enough about all of this. Let's go ahead and dive into the herbs. So we're going to go ahead and talk about 5 herbs and this was really hard. And I have to kind of admit here, I cheated a little because I couldn't, it's hard to pick just 5, right? So what I did is I rolled the mints into one group. So what I did is I took the culinary and aromatic mints from the Lamiaceae family, sage, rosemary, oregano, thyme, marjoram, peppermint, catnip, spearmint, and lemon balm. Those are all very common mints, and many of us have those growing in our gardens. They are extremely helpful in so many ways. So I just kind of lumped them into one category. And then we'll talk about German chamomile. Let me grab my notes here. And yarrow is one of those plants it's one of those cure-all plants. And we're going to talk about ginger and also garlic. Okay, so we're going to just go through these really fast. So mints actually share a lot of the same properties, although there are some important differences. Okay. Uh-oh. Guys, if you're unmuted, please mute yourself. All right. But the mints, they actually have volatile compounds. These are the actual essential oils in them. And that's why you'll see mints being used so often in the essential oil world too, because they work.
There's like 10 slices each. I don't know if you go through 21 slices before it was bad, do you? So I was thinking 10.
All right, guys, let me see who's not muted here. Okay, I apologize for that. Again, this is my very first time doing this. I'm not good with the technology, but I'll figure it out someday. At any rate, here we go. So the mints do share a lot of the same properties. They are antibacterial, they're antiviral, to different extents, I should say. Lemon balm is powerfully antiviral, while, catnip may not be as quite as much. They're antiseptic. So, using them in boo-boo sprays and things like that is really helpful. They're calming and or they're uplifting. Some of them can do both. Most of them are nervine herbs. They affect our nervous system to a certain extent. Most of them are also carminatives, which means that they're digestive herbs, and many more. So the mints are exceptional. I'm going to go ahead and talk about a couple of them specifically in a moment, but just in general, here are some common conditions that mints support. So digestion, you have bloating or flatulence. We all know that peppermint is wonderful for that. They help digest heavy meats and meals, especially rosemary and thyme and oregano. Those culinary herbs that are used in heavy meat dishes, you guys, there's a reason for that. It's because people over the centuries recognized that when they ate rosemary or oregano or some of those very strong mints with their fatty meats, they felt better and they could digest their food better. There's actual clinical evidence now that supports this. And these kinds of spices can help your liver break down the fat. So you're getting a lot of support there with your digestion. Colds and flu. The mints are wonderful for colds and flus. Sage is excellent for sore throat, so is peppermint. They help expectorate mucus. Most of them will do that to a certain extent, but especially rosemary, peppermint, thyme, oregano. If you have a fever that's just coming on, drinking a good peppermint tea can really be helpful at that first stage. Okay, peppermint is a cooling herb, but it's sort of an alterative, which means it gets into your body and it goes where it's needed and it helps to balance, and it can be very helpful at the first sign of a fever. They can open the airways and sinuses, and they relieve foggy brain. So if you're congested and you need to do an herbal steam, using herbs like peppermint, the rosemary, the thyme, those kinds of herbs in just a bowl with some just boiled hot water with a towel over your head, and you're breathing in the aromatics, and maybe just 1 or 2 drops of essential oil, maybe peppermint or rosemary, that is going to help you just breathe better right away. It's pretty amazing. We have a neighbor down the street, and he got very, very sick a few months ago, and he waited several days, which I always tell people, if you start feeling sick, you need to start doing certain things right away. There are certain things you can do right away that is going to help you not get sick, most likely. Okay. But if you wait and that sickness gets into your body, now you're dealing with a lot more, and you've really got to support your body in more ways. But he waited, and he called me up and he says, "Hey, do you have anything for me? I'm dying over here." And so I said, "Yes, I'll put together a little care package." And I ran it over to him with essential oils, a diffuser, teas, herbal teas. I told him how to do a steam, brought him some fresh herbs for that, and some other different things, of course, elderberry and echinacea. And he did everything. He said he felt immediately better the next day. And he told me that the herbal steams were one of the most helpful things he did. So it's just simple things like that, just knowing what to do. The mints are also excellent for your skin and hair, especially if you have oily skin. Rosemary has actually been studied to determine if it actually does help the health of your hair follicles. So these are all very, very beneficial for the skin. They're stimulating, and they can help the circulation, get going to the surface of your skin. And they also support your immune system. The essential oils that belong to the mint family, they clean the air in your home. I also like to use them for cleaning sprays and diffusion. So you can make a room spray that you just spray around. You shake it, spray it. That's actually very helpful for keeping the air around you clean and killing microbes that are around you. Just simply diffusing many of the mints into the air can be helpful. But they do, they're so strongly antimicrobial that germs often don't survive. And here's some special mint mentions. So peppermint energizes your thinking and your motivation. In fact, I have got my essential oil here, and you can simply breathe it right out of the bottle. It's got high levels of menthol, and it supports congested breathing, and it opens sinuses. So it's kind of like your wondermint, I think. I really love peppermint. Spearmint is also amazing. It's helpful for people who get migraines, especially when combined with lemon balm and feverfew. Lemon balm is another one of the mints, by the way. So spearmint's really great. Peppermint essential oil should not be used with children under the age of about 6, but spearmint can be. So it's a nice substitute. It's very gentle and not quite as powerful as the peppermint. Rosemary, basil, and sage. You guys, they directly support your cognition, which is your brain thinking, your memory, your overall brain health, your focus, and your concentration. So drinking the tea a few times a day can be very, very helpful. Diffusing these essential oils if you're having to study, or if you've got children who are studying for a test. This is also clinically research-based, but people seem to do better with focus and memory when these essential oils are diffusing in the air. So really, they're great for you. Lemon balm. This is one of my favorites. People with hypothyroidism need to be a little bit careful with it if they're taking it a lot, especially. But otherwise, it's a very, very safe mint and herb to use. It's great for children. And it directly supports the nervous system. I have a fly here, sorry. It's very antiviral. Lemon balm is one of the most antiviral mints, and it's exceptionally protective from any kind of herpes virus. So cold sores, shingles, chicken pox, things of that nature. And then sage down here is wonderful for drying up any wet condition in your body. So if you have, if you're getting a sore throat that's really inflamed, or if you are experiencing postnasal drip, it can be really, really helpful. Sorry, guys, if you're unmuted, please mute yourselves. Let's see if I can. Okay, sounds like they did. Thank you. All right. So yeah, the mints are just amazing. I love them. They're very wonderful and very, very helpful. I seem to have lost my place here. Let's see. All right. And then here's some ways to use mints. I kind of talked about these going through, but herbal steams, the mints are amazing in the steams. They really are. Herbal teas with fresh or dried herbs. They're good for stomach ache, gas, bloating, fever, sore throat, hair rinses, all kinds of things. In fact, I was so nervous this morning. I told Joe, so I'm really nervous and my stomach kind of hurts. Well, he made me a tea. And he used some of my favorite herbs, but he added peppermint and ginger. So I'm like, thank you. Diffusion with essential oils. They're useful in herbal infused oil. And this is when you take the dried herb or a fresh herb and you don't really use fresh herbs in oil very often. There are certain cases, but mostly you use dried herbs and you soak them in the oil for a time and you come up with this beautiful herbal infused oil. It's very simple to do. In cooking, the culinary use is one of the best ways to obtain the benefits of the herbs. So let's see here. Scoot that up. Okay, so hooray for the mints. And you guys, they're easy to grow too. In fact, some of these I grow all year round in my home. And if I can do that here in the northern panhandle of Idaho, then you can do it too. So mints are wonderful. Add mints to your life and consider them as more than just a spice. They're very medicinal. All right, so we're going to move on to German chamomile. I actually have a tea here. I don't know if you can see this because I can't see myself anymore, but this tea is a relaxation tea and it's got little chamomile flowers in here. But I love chamomile. It's gentle, and we're going to talk about German chamomile. There's two main ones. There's Roman and there's German. The German chamomile is the most common, and it contains a chemical called chemazoline that makes the essential oil blue, and that's actually why this roller bottle here is got a bluish tint. It's got German chamomile in it, but that chemical is extremely helpful for inflammation. German chamomile is gentle for people of all ages and even babies. So it's just another really great herb, especially if you have children. And even though it's gentle, it's, a lot of people will think that just because an herb is gentle, it's not powerful, but chamomile is very powerful and effective, even though it's gentle. It's aromatic. And when we say aromatic, it means that there's probably essential oils associated with it. And I just want to mention here really fast that when I teach herbalism, I'm both an aromatherapist and an herbalist. I like to teach them in conjunction with each other to a certain extent, because there's a synergy between them that really empowers your natural remedies, like to an insane extent. So anyway, but chamomile, back to chamomile, it's a relaxing nervine, it's a mild sedative, it's good for your digestive system. Diaphoretic is a word, it's a fancy medical word that basically means that it heats the internal temperature of your body slightly, and that means it can help with fevers because it just helps your body break those, kill off the pathogens and get that fever broken a little bit faster. German chamomile is antispasmodic, making it excellent for your digestive system as well. On top of the bitter properties that it has, it's excellent for your skin, and it's really wonderful for joint health and things like that. So here are the common conditions that chamomile supports. Sleep, obviously, we all know that taking some chamomile tea can help you go to sleep, and it really is helpful for that. You can also diffuse it in your bedroom, and that helps you get some sleep too. It's excellent for colic and teething and other pains for babies. And you guys, like I said, I'm almost 60, and I wish I had known this in my 20s when I was having babies. And I just get kind of mad sometimes because this is, this should be common knowledge to everybody, that chamomile is helpful if you have a baby who's experiencing pain, and yet it's not. And this is what I wanted to help change in the world. It's helpful for cold and flu, tummy aches, and irritable bowel syndrome. If you suffer from IBS, drinking a chamomile and a calendula tea on a daily basis can be quite helpful because it calms the smooth muscles of your abdomen. It's excellent for your skin health. Chamomile is one of my favorites for the skin. It's helpful for eye infections. If you're beginning to get conjunctivitis or another infection in your eye, using chamomile as an eye wash can be wonderful. Pain relief, it helps with the anxiety response. So it's wonderful for that. And it's also helpful for wounds, rashes, and any kind of skin issue. It helps with itching. In fact, one clinical study proved that it actually works better than the cortisone creams that doctors want to prescribe. So if you're having issues with eczema and your doctor says, hey, take some of this cortisone cream, consider trying a salve made with a strong herbal infusion of chamomile, and perhaps even some of the essential oil. And you might be very, very pleasantly surprised. It's just, amazing what the plants can do for us. So here's some ways to use it. You can diffuse it. You can, again, I've kind of talked through all these, an herbal infused oil. The herbal infused oils can be used in a number of different ways, but mainly they're for the skin. They're a good basis for salves and even massage oils. but they can be cooked with too. So if the herb is a highly edible herb, they're wonderful to infuse in oils just for cooking. They're great. It's great in an herbal tea, and the tea can be used internally or externally. Tincturing the herb is wonderful. This is when you soak the herb in alcohol or maybe vinegar, which is called an acetum. And these are often very fast ways to provide relief to people because you don't have to wait for a tea to steep. You've got it made, it's already there, ready to go. And I think I have some up here, but anyway, you don't have to be thinking about it too much because you have it ready. The essential oil is incredible for supporting pain relief for muscles and joints. It's one of my favorite essential oils to use for arthritis, for different kinds of pain issues, especially in the bones. Diffusing it can help calm the nerves and promote a good night's rest. So there are some ways to use it. There's actually even more. Here they are. Herbal steams, excellent in rubs for sore muscles and joints. Pain relieving. If you're making a pain relief blend, you can make your own natural aspirin with willow bark. Adding some devil's claw or some cramp bark to it can even make it more powerful. You've got a nice synergy there with the herbs, but adding some chamomile can really help support the pain relieving functions of the chemicals in these herbs. Okay. The herbal infused oil, like I just said, is wonderful in salves. And if you want a really nice skin healing salve, combine chamomile with some dandelion and some calendula. It's amazing. And maybe even some St. John's wort. The four of those are just skin loving powerhouses. Okay, so here's some tips for making the tea. First off, I suggest that you invest in the loose leaf tea. Stay away from the little tea bags in the stores. I mean, they're fine to use if you have to and you have nothing else. But those teas are often very oxidized and old, in other words, and they're not as high of a quality, and you're not going to get the benefits that you will with a very good loose leaf tea like this that's made with, more freshly dried herbs. So what you want, chamomile is very bitter, so it tastes really good if it's steeped for just a few minutes, like 5 or 10. If you steep it for longer than about 10 to 15 minutes, it's going to be a bitter tea, so it just won't taste very good. But if you're drinking any herbal tea for the medicinal value of it, it's oftentimes very, very helpful to steep for hours. Okay. But chamomile does not need a long steeping time. And then children especially, a lot of times they're not very compliant, which means they don't want to take their herbs. And so taste is a big deal with kids. A shorter steeped tea given more often to children is generally more helpful. The tea can be sweetened, of course, with honey and different things, but chamomile has a pretty flavor when it's just done on a short steep. This picture here shows it's not very dark. That's a short steep, and I bet it tastes delicious, like apples and honey. Very, very gentle and calming.
Have a little money and then come and say you had to.
All right, you guys. Then we're on to yarrow. Yarrow is Achillea millefolium. It is amazing as well. It grows wild in a lot of places. I actually have a patch in my backyard that I've been nurturing since we moved in here, and I just love it. It's known as the cure-all plant, as well as the battlefield plant, and soldier's wort, and sanguinary. Sanguine means blood, okay? But basically, yarrow is a very strong styptic herb, which means that it stops bleeding really fast. So it's one of my favorite herbs to keep on hand in powdered form, along with cayenne pepper. And you get a really, a wound or a bleed, just slap it on there and cover it, and it helps your blood clot. It's pretty amazing. But nurses during the days of the Civil War, when all those thousands of soldiers were dying in the fields with no medical care, that's what they used. They went around and they gathered yarrow, and that they packed the wounds with the yarrow plants. So yarrow happens to be on top of it stopping blood flow and helping us clot. It's an antiseptic as well. So that's very helpful if you're in a situation out in the wild or you get a wound or a cut and you just don't have anything, grab some yarrow if you have it around. Another good one to grab is plantain. Okay, yarrow is also anti-inflammatory. We just talked about it being a styptic. It's a great diaphoretic, meaning it's one of my favorites to use for fevers in an herbal tea form. It's astringent, so it dries things up and tightens and tones tissues in your body, like your mucous membranes if they're inflamed. Like sage, it's very helpful for a sore throat. It's analgesic, so it's a pain relieving herb. If you were to distill yarrow flowers, you would find that it's another one of the blue oils like German chamomile is, which I just showed you the color here, because it also contains chamazoline. So it's very, very helpful for inflammation in the joints. It's antimicrobial, it's antispasmodic. So another good one for the digestive system. If you've got IBS and things like that, where you're spasming, it's good for menstrual cramps. It's a diuretic, so it helps you to flush fluids out. It's liver protective. It helps to lower blood pressure, and it's good for your skin. This is just, I mean, whoever started calling it the cure-all plant was not joking. This is a plant where if I had to probably choose one herb, and again, this would be really hard, but if I had to choose one, I think I would probably pick yarrow. It's just amazing. So common conditions, it supports bleeding wounds, fevers. It's excellent for women. It decongests abdominal bloating during menstruation. So if you're a person who, when you have your period, you bloat up really badly. I used to do that. Taking yarrow tincture can really be helpful. It's very supportive for urinary tract situations. So if you feel like you're getting an infection, using yarrow can be helpful. And I would say combine that with some cranberry. Stomach upset it's good for your stomach. It's really helpful for people with heartburn too. And painful inflammation. It may, like rosemary, stimulate hair growth, but if I were going to choose an herb for hair growth, I would still choose rosemary. But hey, combining yarrow with rosemary would be a really good idea. Okay, so here's how you use it. You can dry the yarrow flowers and the leaves and then powder them. And these are great to just add to your first aid kit or your travel kit, or if you have a get home bag or something like that, it's good to have some little supplies that you can use with you. And yarrow is wonderful for that. You can tincture it in witch hazel for a gentle antiseptic, and this is really great to use on kids. It doesn't burn like an alcohol tincture will. You can also use it in alcohol also as a gentle or as a spray. It's just going to hurt a little bit at first, but it won't hurt you, if that makes sense. And you can take it internally by a tea or a tincture as well, not in witch hazel, but in like vodka. So you can use fresh or dried yarrow to make the herbal tea. It makes a wonderful infused oil for skincare. So can you see I'm choosing herbs here that have a number of different ways to prepare them and a number of different uses. So broad uses, broad ranges to prepare. And what happens is when you start learning how to use these different herbs, you're not having to go out and buy hundreds of herbs because, if you have the few that you need, or you can kind of pick and choose ones that have different kinds of uses, then you're going to be very herbally powerful with just a few herbs. Okay. The essential oil from yarrow, it's also excellent for supporting pain relief for muscles and joints too. It's really just a wonderful oil. Here's some tips for harvesting and using it. You can cultivate yarrow. You want to get the white variety that is more medicinal than the hybrids, which often are yellow or pink. They're fine, but they're just not quite as powerful. The wild yarrow is the best kind to get if you can, but you can cultivate it as well. It likes disturbed soils. It grows in a wide range of places. It really likes grassy fields. And then when you harvest it is in midsummer, and you want to gather it from clean areas. So be sure, if you are a person who wants to get into foraging and harvesting your herbs, you want to be about 1,000 feet off of the roadside, and you want to be sure you're in a place that's not being sprayed at all, because it contaminates your plants. Basically, you just cut the stems off, you let them dry, and then you garble off the leaves and the flowers, and that's the part that you use. So if you don't have yarrow around, but you have cayenne powder, which we all hopefully have that in our cupboards, or shepherd's purse, which grows in some areas, these can be substituted as styptics too, or to stop that bleeding. And there's some yarrow flowers with butterflies, and they love yarrow too. So, all right, the next herb up is ginger. I love ginger, don't you? It's just one of those wonderful, wonderful plants and herbs that we can go get this in the grocery store, like the mints. So many of these we can just go and buy them in the grocery store and have them. So that's wonderful. But ginger is great. It's useful as a medicinal as well as a food. It's known as the universal medicine in India. In India, between ginger, turmeric, and black pepper, those three herbs are used on a daily basis in heavy amounts by a great majority of the population, because they're so good for us. It's been widely studied in clinical trials, and there's a ton of evidence to back up its effectiveness. Because it's been studied so much and it tastes so good, it's very well accepted in Western herbalism, even among the medical community. So, and that's just because it really is helpful and it works. It's anti-inflammatory, it's stimulating, it's another diaphoretic. So again, we're kind of talking about fevers and things like that, but it helps with congested lungs. It helps with digestion, it's pain relieving, it's antimicrobial, it's a vermifuge, which means it is anti-parasitic. It can, when you are taking a lot of ginger, it can help you with parasites. And it's a rubefacient, which means that when you apply it to your skin in some way, it brings the blood to the surface of the skin and warms it. So if you have, if you're a cold person, if you're a cold, dry type of person, using ginger in an infused oil is a nice way to just get your body warmed up a little bit. It's very excellent for arthritis and joint inflammation. It's great for colds and flu. It's very warming. So if you get sick and you have that initial, you have that initial coldness that comes on with sickness, drinking a ginger tea can really get you warmed back up again. It helps get stuck mucus moving. So it's wonderful for even like if you wanted to put the essential oil, and if you do a steam with an essential oil, you just want one drop. You don't need a lot. It's very powerful, but you can put the herb in a steam and put more in there and really enjoy it. It is excellent for illness that come along with chills. It supports your heart health, which is your circulation and just overall wellness. There's some evidence that it also helps with diabetes. It helps with menstrual cramping. Ginger essential oil is one of my favorite essential oils to use in menstrual cramp blends. And it's just helpful to drink as an herbal tea as well for tummy aches and just settling your stomach. I keep a ginger tincture on hand in my cupboard at all times. I don't have to use it very often, but when I have a really bad stomach ache or, it just hurts, that tincture settles it down really fast. Also for migraine headaches, if you suffer from those, there is now evidence coming out, they're studying this, that if you take ginger, like the tea or a tincture at the onset of a migraine, you might be able to head it off. Yeah, but you have to do that right away before it gets going. So basically, the tea or tincture can be used for stomach upset and nausea. It is wonderful, by the way, for motion sickness. If you have children who get motion sickness in cars or car sick, or if you're riding on a plane, you can cut up ginger into little nickels, is what they call them. They're just like little slices about the size of a nickel, and just stick it in your cheek and just suck on it. Ginger candy is also very helpful for that if you have kids. And you can even dilute the essential oil in some carrier oil and just dab it behind your ears along with some lavender essential oil. That right there is really helpful too. It can be made into a chest poultice for respiratory complaints, kind of like those old-fashioned hot mustard poultices. You could actually use ginger and hot mustard at the same time. I like the tincture in combination with cramp bark for menstrual cramps. Cramp bark and ginger is wonderful. And then you can also make a massage oil with the essential oils too. I've got so many recipes for those everywhere. So please don't hesitate to look at my website. There's hundreds of recipes on there at this point, and my YouTube channel, and you can always reach out to me as well. You can, I just talked about this. Other essential oils, if you're interested in a menstrual cramping abdominal massage blend, would be fennel and clary sage. Fennel, clary sage, and ginger are an amazing combination, and they smell really good together too. And again, we talked about the arthritis and sore muscles. So here's some tips for working with ginger. You guys, honestly, you can use it herbally in teas and tinctures and also the essential oils. But the nice thing about ginger is you can use it as a food. So consider adding it to your fermented foods. I have a recipe on my site for ginger beet kvass. It's really a healthy and very good for you fermented drink. You can make a ginger bug, also a fermented food, and create your own healthy soda pops. You can grow it in your home. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you can see this. I have kind of a large ginger plant right here. See those leaves? And but I keep one of these growing at all times. They're great it's great to grow your own. Again, what if you can't get to the store, or what if the store doesn't have any? So you've got your own. And then of course the essential oil is amazing. This is a picture of a drink that contains ginger and some other herbs. And believe this is the ginger beet kvass. All right, now on to garlic. You know, garlic is very powerful and a very strong medicinal, and it's one that we all know, and it's one that we cook with a lot. So garlic is one of those herbs that people feel very, very safe with. The thing is just like any other herb, if you're using it in food amounts, it's probably just fine. But if you go overboard and you have certain conditions, it can be dangerous. And so we'll talk about that. But generally speaking, garlic is one of the best herbs to use, and to use every single day. It's beloved as a healing herb for literally centuries, thousands of years. Garlic's been around and used. There's a lot of folklore about it. And one we're all familiar with is it's so strong it keeps vampires away. And it obviously is. It can smell kind of bad if you take too much. But it's a circulatory stimulant. And so it gets into your bloodstream, and it actually helps open your blood vessels so your blood can flow better. So in that sense, it's very good for people with hypertension, as long as you are working with a doctor if you're on medications. If you are not on medications, then you're good. It's an alternative. An alternative herb is an herb that gets into your body, and it goes where it's needed, and it balances you out. And I love garlic for that. It's really helpful. It's another diaphoretic, so it's warming. It's an expectorant as well. It's a hot herb. So what it does is any hot herb is going to help your sinuses to run. And when your sinuses run, you've got stuck mucus in your chest, it basically helps to expectorate that mucus out of your chest. It's an antimicrobial, very strong antimicrobial. It's a great digestive herb. It's a vermifuge. It means it also kills worms in the body. I know that's kind of a gross topic, but it's very useful for that. And it's immune system modulating. It's an immunomodulating herb, which means that it balances your immune system. And this goes along with it being an alterative herb. It, if your immune system is lacking, it strengthens it. If your immune system is overactive, garlic can actually help bring it back into more of a balanced state. So it's very, very helpful in these cases. Here's some common conditions that are supported by garlic. So we talked a little bit about hypertension. I take garlic every single day for this reason. It's helpful for those with type 2 diabetes. It's helpful for colds and flu. It can actually stop an upper respiratory infection in its tracks if it's caught early enough, you guys. And it strengthens the immune system. And we just talked about it helping our sinuses to run, which is actually a good thing. It's much better than congestion. More conditions that garlic helps. Your immune system. You know, there's been clinical studies on garlic, just like with ginger, because it's so common and also a very accepted herb, but it increases your natural killer cells, which are released in your body's response to infection. So when you get a pathogen that enters your body, your immune system goes to work and creates cells that get out there and they try to kill off those pathogens. Well, garlic helps increase those cells. So it's very, very good to use if you're just getting a cold or a flu. It fights off strep bacteria and also candida. Garlic is wonderful for helping to maintain the health of your gut too. And then we talked about the worms. Great topic, right? All right, ways to use garlic. You guys cook with it all the time. Just cook with it. That's the best way to get garlic into your body, to be quite honest. Yes, you can make tinctures and you can do infused oils and you can do all the fun herbal preparations. However, the best way is just to eat it. For adults, eat 1 or 2 cloves a day. That's going to just really help maintain your health very, very well. And isn't it, it just is so amazing to me that such a little amount of an herb can do such great things for us. It's exciting. I just think it's amazing, especially when it tastes yummy in your food, right? So here's what my husband and I do. We keep a half-gallon jar of garlic cloves in our refrigerator, soaking in white vinegar. And we use those when we cook. So if we're making a soup or a stew, we throw a few cloves in. And so not only does it flavor the soups or the stew, but then we can eat the garlic as we're, enjoying our food. And when you heat your garlic up, it doesn't tend to make your breath smell quite as bad. So just a little tip on that. But we use garlic a lot. You can take powdered garlic in capsules, which you can make yourself, or you can just purchase a good over-the-counter supplement. I like the Keolic one for cardiovascular support. And again, I have diagnosed high blood pressure, but I keep my blood pressure within normal limits for the most part, unless something's going on, and I do it naturally. And this is one of the things I do. I do several things, but this is one of them. Honey garlic is excellent for snacking on or adding to your cooking. So you can just have it sitting on the counter and infusing in some honey. It's delicious. Fire cider. You guys, please make fire cider this fall. If you do nothing else, get that fire cider going because it helps keep you well and it uses a high amount of garlic. And then fermenting it is good. And then adding it to fermented foods is helpful too. And then tips for working with it. I think I mentioned most of these. Pregnant and nursing women should only take normal amounts of it, okay? There is some evidence that it's not good to be overused if you're pregnant or nursing. People with bleeding disorders or who are on blood thinners like Coumarins, they should not eat too much garlic either because garlic thins the blood so well. Okay, so just be aware of those precautions. All right, so let's talk about learning herbalism. I just mentioned at the beginning that it took me forever and a ton of dedication and stubbornness to continue my herbal path. Oops. Anyway, and I'm going to be honest, when you first turn to using herbs and you're used to using things like Tylenol PM, it's a little tempting just to go back to that because it's there and it's easy, right? You just go pick it up at the store. But like I said, I drew that for myself. I drew that line in the sand and I said, no more, I'm done. I'm done. And I made that promise to myself and I kept it. And I'm so glad I did, because what I've experienced in the last, 10, 15 years of my physical life has been pretty incredible. Back when I started, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't have anybody to talk to or ask about things. And a lot of my learning was based on, besides just studying the coursework, but experience. And then I wasted, you guys, oh my gosh, when I first started, I wasted so much time and money and herbal products too, before I truly nailed our home apothecary. I'm a little ashamed to admit that, but it's the truth. It took me literally years, about 5, as a matter of fact. So what happens when you start learning herbalism and you take, one of the main courses out there is you get all excited, which is good, and you start buying all of the herbs. And you start gathering all of the herbs out in your yard and you start, making all the things. And what happened with me is I ended up with this massive apothecary, and I didn't use everything. In fact, I have tinctures that are well over, like 10 years old now, and they're still good. Luckily, tinctures don't go bad. So it's a great way to preserve your herbs. But the point is it took me a really long time to actually get a working apothecary going for Joe and me. Guys, if you're unmuted, please mute yourselves if you could. I'm so sorry, everybody. Like I said, I'll get better. Okay, well, anyway, you guys, my goal is to help people get started faster, okay? Because literally creating your home apothecary shouldn't take 5 years. It shouldn't even take 1 year, because if you think about and organize and plan correctly and know what to get and do, you can do this in about 6 weeks. Maybe for some of us, it might take a little bit longer, but not really. Guys, again, if you are unmuted, please mute yourselves. I appreciate it if you could. Sorry, there's a lot of us here to hear. I am so sorry. And I did set this to mute, and for some reason, somebody's not muted. So very sorry. Here we go. All right. All right, you guys. So some people start using herbs and they don't have a great deal of success. And there's some reasons for that. So let's go ahead and just talk about a few of them. So the first thing is that you start studying herbalism and it's simply overwhelming. Have you guys experienced that? I know I have. It's like you get in there and you want to start learning, but there's just too much. And then a lot of people just say, forget it. In fact, I have some students who have been studying herbs for a really long time, but have never really made any progress in getting things made because they're not really sure where to start. And there's many different kinds of people, but some people jump right in like I did and make all the things. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I just wasted all this time, money, and product. And then there's other people who are so overwhelmed and they're like waiting for that moment when they feel like they know enough to make the things and they never get anything made or very little. So those are the two main kinds of people. So it's really easy to give up because you get frustrated. You feel like you're on the right path, but you're just not really sure still. And you don't want to make a mistake and hurt someone. Of all the things that I get when I talk with new people to herbalism, it's that they're afraid they're going to hurt somebody. So I just want to just interject right now. Herbs in general are very, very, very safe. They are way safer than pharmaceuticals. And if you got my email letter a couple of days ago where we talked about Tylenol and how dangerous it is, then you know that. But do some research on Tylenol. and acetaminophen. And by the way, companies are getting wise because people are getting wise, and now they're starting to include acetaminophen in different preparations under different names. So you might be taking it and not even knowing it. It's horrible. Anyway, let me go on. I'll get on a rant. So some herbalists tell you what you need to include in your family's medicine chest, but you feel your family needs different things. This has happened to quite a few people. It's like you take those little home apothecary courses, and there's a few remedies that they give you or provide to you, and then that's it. Well, that doesn't work for every single family, because all of our families are different, and there's nobody really to talk to as well. Some people think it takes too long. I'm here to tell you guys, herbal preparations and using aromatherapy, like, here's an elderberry tincture soaking. You guys, this literally took less than 5 minutes. It doesn't take a lot of time. You have to have the patience to wait for the preparation to steep if it's a tincture or something like that. But herbal preparations don't take a lot of time. It costs too much. I've heard this one. It really doesn't. When you do a cost analysis of the herbs, especially guys, if you've got them in your garden, it's pretty amazing what the savings are. And in fact, I think I'm going to ask my students to do that, do a little cost analysis to see how much they've saved. Joe and I did that the other day. We sat down and we figured out approximately, of course, how much money we've saved in the last like 5 or so, 6, 7 years. It's well over $8,000 just in herbal product. So here's some secrets, you guys, to getting your home medicine chest ready for real. Okay. Secret number 1, you need an herbal mentor, especially if you're just starting out in the world of herbalism. You need someone you can ask questions of, who you trust and who's actually there. And you guys, I just want to say, this is what I wish I had when I started. I didn't have anybody to talk to, and everybody thought I was so weird. Like, it was just like, what are you doing? And I can't believe that you're off the medications and blah, blah, blah. It was unbelievable, the resistance I got from people out there. My parents and friends, and it was crazy. But you need somebody to talk to who can like let you know that you're on the right path. And you can do this in a number of ways. I suggest you find 2 or 3 herbalists you really like who have websites, so you can go to those websites and do searches. And by the way, a precaution here is Google really isn't showing any herbalists websites in searches anymore. So if you go to do a search on, I don't know, let's just say, oh gosh, my mind is a blank. Okay, natural cold remedies. It used to be that Google would show you recipes from real herbalists who are using the herbs. And now all you get is information from Healthline or WebMD, which are fine, but they're very, very conservative, and they're not herbalists. That content is written by paid content writers who don't use herbs, by the way. But you don't get the herbal stuff in. So you just need to identify a few people who you like so that you can go directly to their websites, because it's likely you're not going to find us on Google anymore. The censorship is insane. So find an herbal mentor. Secret number 2, you need an organized plan that fits your unique family. And I alluded to this a moment ago in the other slide, but you need to consider your family. Some families have 10 kids. Some families only have 2, older people like me and Joe. Our families are very unique and very different. Some families have all kinds of people in them. So you need to be thinking about that. And then you need a step-by-step system to create what your family needs. The third secret is that you'll probably need some adjustments or substitutions to some of the formulas so that they're safe for the members of your personal family. Although herbs are very, very safe, extremely safe, as a matter of fact, in general, they do have herb drug interactions. They're called HDIs, and they are contraindicated for certain health conditions that people have. So you do need to have some knowledge. And if you're starting out making a home apothecary and your goal is to handle the common ailments your family might deal with, then just having a person you can ask about the herbs is a good idea. So we're going to talk about Ditch the Drugstore, you guys. So this is this is a course I put together last spring, and I put it out there in the world for the first time with about 65 students in June, and tested it. And when I put it out there in June, it wasn't created all the way. So I created it with a lot of feedback from my students, and kind of built out what it was that they needed. So in that regard, I built this for you. Okay. What happens when you learn anything over a period of time is you lose that beginner's mind. And I realized that I had lost that, like many herbalists do. We just, you forget what it's like not to know something. Because for me, it's easy at this point. Like, why would somebody be asking that? That's super easy. And the reality is that no, it's not. And I have to take myself back to that place where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and wanted a different way, and I didn't know what to do. Okay, so this is where finding a mentor. So you guys, one of the things about this course that I decided when I put it out there last spring was that I wanted to be there for the students, like hands-on, like, with them, because the goal was to have them create those home apothecaries fast, like, within a month to 6 weeks, and then be there to support them. Anyway, when I also created it, I was able to answer their questions because I showed up live twice a week, every week at 2 different times, and we talked. And I got to know people really well, and was able to know what they needed. And then interacting with other experienced herbalists in the student group gives you confidence. So I have a student group, and as far as experienced herbalists, it's not just me. There are several other people in there who have plenty of experiences. And also, I have another certified aromatherapist at my level in there as well. So it's really helpful. Secret number 2, you want an organized and personalized step-by-step system. So get your plan laid out. And I can help you do that with this, but this is what saves you time and a lot of money, and helps you avoid frustration in figuring out what it is you need. So an example of this is like, okay, everybody knows that they probably should have something on hand for congestion, right? Or we probably at this point, because of COVID, should have something on hand to support our lungs. Well, if you don't have somebody helping you with that, or giving you the recipe, or adjusting the recipe for your family, for children or whatever, then it's kind of tricky and hard. And a lot of people, like I said, they just quit. And then customization. Your apothecary is not going to look like your friends or your neighbors or mine. So you need to make choices for your own family. And that's one of the things I help you do. So basically, guys, this is just a little bit more about my little journey. But in the past, about 10 years now, my husband and I have been free of all drugs. We haven't taken any over-the-counter drugs. We haven't taken any prescription drugs for about 10 years. And I can tell you this, it feels great. It feels really great for a number of reasons: saving money, being healthier, and just using the plants God gave us. God gave us the plants for our health and our healing. And we've all, as a society, allowed the science to become the God, and that's what we listen to now. So I won't go into all that, but the plants are here for us. And here's who the course works for. I'm opening it up for the second time to see how it goes again for the second time, and to help people once again, and also build it up even more depending on what people need. Although I worked really hard the first time around, and it expanded greatly. But it's for anybody who stands in the drugstore aisles wondering what on earth to choose. Has that ever been you? I know it's been me, especially when I had kids. I'd stand there in front of the cough syrups and go, what the heck do I choose? And I know dextromethorphan is terribly toxic and it's a narcotic. I didn't want to give that to my kids, but when you look at the ingredients on all of them, guess what? It's in there, even for very small children. It's for anybody who wants the best for their family and kids. It's for people who want better options, okay? It's for anybody who's ready to take a few minutes to create the specific items that you specifically need. And it's for anybody who wants to save significant dollars, especially over time, to not have to buy all the over-the-counter stuff. I don't even know what cough syrup costs anymore, but I suspect it's pretty expensive. And gosh, you can make it for almost free at home in your kitchen, and it's way better. So anyhow, it's for a lot of different people. All right, and here's some of the things I've learned talking with people. You might be kind of worried about these things. What if you try herbs and you hurt someone? So in this course, we're not working with any dangerous herbs at all, or essential oils. And if occasionally one is in there that has a contraindication, I make sure that you guys know about it, okay? And we talked about this a moment ago, that the fear of hurting someone is legitimate. It really is. And I understand it because I felt that way too. I actually did hurt Joe once. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. No, I made a cayenne infused oil for pain relief because he was always having sore muscles. And the first time I tested it on him, it burned his skin. It was really bad. But I promise you that that won't happen to you because I'm here. But anyway, the other thing about herbs is this, and I learned this by just drawing that line in the sand for myself. Herbs heal your body slowly, and they don't cover the symptoms up that we need to feel so we know what's going on with us. I had a 4th grade student one time. He had a fever, and his grandmother, who was raising him, took him to the doctor, and the doctor put him on an antibiotic and told her to give him Tylenol. Well, she did. And what happened was he didn't get better. And so she took him back a couple weeks later. The doctor gave him a different antibiotic and told her to keep giving him Tylenol to, help with the pain. And so what happened was another week went by and he went into a coma. And what happened was, because the Tylenol was covering up processes that should have been, made physically aware, nobody knew how sick he really was. So, sometimes we want to experience comfort from the herbs, but we don't want to necessarily ignore the symptoms that our body is showing us. And there are ways to work with that. Anyway, back to the fear. It's proven that over-the-counter medications are more likely to land someone in the hospital or kill them than an herbal remedy made with safe, effective herbs. Did you guys know that Tylenol is the #1 killer of people with liver disease? It's not alcoholism. It damages our livers terribly. And then when you combine Tylenol with alcohol or with other medications, you're just asking for trouble. And then again, you've got people to ask in the group for this. What if the formulas don't work? This is also a legitimate concern. What if you make something and it just doesn't work? Sometimes this can happen. So honestly, sometimes they don't. Although the majority of the time, people are incredibly amazed and awed. So the kinds of recipes that we've got in this course, here's one of the books. There's about 5 books that come with this, but this is the main recipe book in the course. These are recipes that I've tested over the years that I have formulated to be safe, that work, okay, for the majority of people. Once in a while, you'll have a person who's got a difficult constitution. And then if you're working with a person like that, you can ask me and I can help you make some adjustments to it. Okay. But there's a synergy to using the herbs and the essential oils together that many herbalists don't know or recognize. And so sometimes, instead of, a lot of people just want to use the herbs only, but sometimes adding an essential oil formula into your mix is really a good idea. And I am sharing recipes for both. Okay, And then my friend Sandy, I was going to tell you about her. She's been studying with me now for, gosh, 2.5 years or so. But she came to me because her husband had asthma and couldn't breathe very well. And she was really worried because it was getting to the point where doctors were going to start taking some major, doing some major things within his body. And she didn't want that. And so we started with the lung tea. And then she actually jumped in and started learning herbalism with us. But she wrote to me recently about the results from a doctor's test and how he is night and day from where he was just a couple of years ago. And it's just a matter of persevering and knowing that they're healing your body. And over time, things do work. Okay. Anyhow, but the formulas do work and you can tweak them to fit each individual person. Some people say it takes too much effort. And so I'm wondering if you guys watched the free videos I sent out last week. We made 3 herbal remedies. We made them while I was talking and they took literally minutes. So most of them take under 10 minutes of your active time. It's really fun and it's creative and it is a joy to see your remedies. I won't. I was going to try. I'm going to mess up my computer, but I have a bunch of them over here in the corner to just show you. But they're just all over the house, and they really make you feel good. It's a kind of a safety net there, but it's fun and it's creative. And then you can take a formula and you can start adding your own choices of herbs to make it taste the way you want or be the way you want. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, the course is created to literally drastically shorten your learning curve while giving you the support you need to create your apothecary. So you guys, I have an herbal membership called the Confident Herbalist Tribe. And in that membership, there's 47 master classes right now on basic herbal foundations and so many plants, as well as some essential oils too. It's growing every month. And so I've had people in the tribe with me, some of them for like almost 3 years since I started it. And I actually told them that they didn't need this course because I figured, hey, they've been with me this long, they don't need this. But I had a couple of people join this course last spring, actually about quite a few really. And I was kind of worried that it would be too easy for them and it wouldn't be suitable for them. But the feedback I got was that it helped them take the herbal knowledge that they had amassed about the plants and really distill it down to what they needed to finally get their home apothecary made. In fact, one of my students told me that the course finally got her to get it going. And so that's what this is all about, just getting it done. Here's another thing I hear from people. People will think I'm weird and they will. There's no doubt. They're going to think you're weird, you guys. Because we're taught to trust doctors and not question anything, right? That's the thing in our society right now. When you start using a plant that you grow in your yard, people are going to go, what is wrong with you? But by taking your health into your own hands and by using the plants that God gave us specifically for these reasons, you guys, then you are definitely stepping out of the unhealthy norm of society, okay? And when you step outside of that norm, that normal realm where we go along like little sheep and we do what we're told, then yes, people are probably going to put up some resistance. But here's what happens. I've seen this happen over and over and over again. You saw it with Sarah and Karen earlier. I mentioned the 2 examples where they were using their preparations with their families and it worked. And they're like, but what happens is over time, people start buying in to what you're doing because it does work. Okay. And then here, I'm going to just say this, so who cares? If I had listened to all the naysayers years ago, do you know how sick I would be right now? I'm almost 60. I guarantee you I would be on 5 different medications right now, at least, and I'm so glad. I am so glad. I can't even tell you that I drew that line in the sand and I said, no, I'm so glad. anyhow, what I've also seen happen is that your home remedies are going to become very requested products in your circle of friends and family. A lot of them make really good gifts too, without being weird about it. And here's what we used to have to do. We used to have to hope we didn't get sick. If we did get sick, we head to the doctor or the drugstore. We take synthetically created drugs that are supposed to help us heal, but they don't. They just cover up the symptoms, like the 4th grade student I told you about a minute ago. We suffer through the illness. Our poor, unsupported body eventually gets better despite ourselves. And then we're dealing with the side effects from the prescription drugs that we were given or the over-the-counter drugs. And sometimes we even become addicted to them, like, certain nasal sprays and things like that. They're terribly addicting. But there's a better way. When we turn to herbs, you can just go to your home medicine chest for what you need. If you know that you suffer from allergies, you guys, then you're going to be making allergy remedies. If you're a person who suffers from arthritis pain and joint pain, you're going to be making those kinds of things. Some of us suffer from multiple kinds of issues commonly, and you're going to build your medicine kit up with that. Maybe you're a family who has children who are athletes and they're getting hurt all the time. You're going to have remedies to support those things. So anyway, you're not going to have to second guess the things that you commonly need anymore. Okay, you're going to have what you need at your fingertips. And you're going to, at the same time, and this is the most exciting thing to me, you're going to be supporting your body's natural wellness. Your body knows what to do to heal. Your body has, God created us perfectly. We know in our bodies what to do, and it's our job to help. Okay, herbs can help. I don't think taking synthetic things all the time is really great. Sometimes we have to, and that's okay. We work with that, but I think our most important job as people with thinking brains is to support our bodies the best way we can. That actually starts with food and, hydration and sleep and all that, a lifestyle. But for just having a home apothecary, it's great to have natural things that are helpful to us. So you can ditch the drugstore, you guys. I hope you'll join us. This is Haley. She's one of my students. Who started with me at the very beginning. And here's what she says. I literally started with no knowledge, no supplies, nothing but this course. And this is not the Ditch the Drugstore course. This was my first family herbalist course, which is pretty similar. But she said it opened up a whole new world to her and she'll be forever grateful. She's currently using all natural ways to help heal all sorts of common ailments around the home, and they work, and I couldn't be happier. And she feels empowered because I'm taking control of my health, and she knows exactly what's going on in her body. And I can tell you, Haley had some pretty serious health issues, but she's done a very nice job, and she's since gone on to study further. So that's Haley. My friend Victoria, and she's has good things to say about the course as well. If it's ever been on your to-do list, this is the course you need. Here's Cliff. He's a wonderful person who joined us. Cliff probably joined us about 1.5 years ago, maybe. But he says he joined the tribe, is how he found us. But he was halfway through a beginner course from an online school. He was struggling with the format of the course and was disappointed with the progress. I hear this all the time, you guys, because there's no support. There's not. You can't get into a Facebook group and ask a question and count on a whole lot of support. Facebook's crazy anyway. So he was disappointed with his support and the progress. After I became involved with the tribe, I never went back to finish that course because what I found was not a school curriculum, but an active and vibrant family of herbalists led by an excellent teacher. And I was a teacher for 30 years, so I do have a history of formal teaching. I do take each student under my wing. You just have to reach out to me. I care so deeply, you guys. And Cliff says he's progressed in his herbal studies by leaps and bounds. And thank you for the love you show us. You guys, you're more than a number in the Healing Harvest Homestead School. You matter. And here's Anna. This is the herbalism course I've been looking for. As a health research addict with a passion for natural healing, I've long wanted to take a comprehensive herbalism course to gain confidence. And she's also talking about the family herbalist. But the high quality courses that drew my interest were also well beyond my budget. This course is refreshingly affordable and is a wealth of practical, easy to follow information. And it has breathed life and confidence into her use of herbs at home. And that's what the Ditch the Drugstore course is doing for people. Anyway, so you guys, if you want to get started, I actually wasn't going to open the cart quite yet. I was going to wait until Monday, but when I created this slideshow yesterday, I thought, okay, I'll just go ahead and open it. It is open now if you want to join us. I do have an early bird bonus if you want to get into it. You can go to this link and see everything that's included in it. I have 3 different payment options for people. So it should be workable for most people. If you sign up in the next couple of hours, Mr. V, who handles our merchandise shop, he's going to send you a mug. He's going to send you a Ditch the Drugstore mug. I think, oh yeah, it looks like this. So it's real cute. It's got the logo on one side and I Ditch the Drugstore on the other one. So, and he drinks out of this very proudly. So do I, but all right, you guys. If you're in the natural living group, which you should be if you're on this live talk, then you can also find the link in the discovery tab. Okay. And if you just go to bit.ly/DTOTC, which stands for Ditch the Over the Counter, then you can go to that link if you want to. And thank you so much for being here. You guys, at the very least, I hope that you really enjoyed learning how using common herbs like the mints, the chamomile, the yarrow, things like that can be so incredibly useful for your home and your family. Oh, Joe says I've got questions here. Okay, I'm sorry, you guys. Yeah, if you've got more questions, just put them in the chat for me here. Oh, a lot of you guys want the formula for the carpal tunnel. Okay, well, it's in the Ditch the Drugstore recipe book, you guys. It's also in one of the groups in the community. I know some of my students have shared it in there too. Nadine would love to know more about specifics on using mints for hair and skin. Okay. Yeah, so using mints for your hair and skin, honestly, I love the herbal oils, okay, in terms of your skin. And then for your hair, my favorite thing is to steep the herbs in vinegar, because vinegar is really good for your hair. It balances the pH of it, and it helps strip off any extra product you've got on your hair strands, and it makes your hair incredibly soft and shiny. So, and then if you massage it into your scalp, you can really stimulate your scalp. Okay. Rosemary is wonderful for your hair follicles. So there's a lot more to it. I can't go deeply into any of these right now, but I can give you some ideas. And then if you join Ditch the Drugstore, I'll be there with you all the time. You might get sick of me, actually. Let's see. Yes, Robin says that some herbs and oils can trigger seizures in people with epilepsy. Do I know anything about this? I know a little bit about it, and I can tell you I've never ever once experienced it. But here's the thing, when you start using herbs and essential oils for yourself, you owe it to yourself to research that herb and that essential oil deeply. Okay. Especially if you have medical conditions. If you're a relatively healthy person, then here, I'm going to see if I can stop sharing my screen here so I can just talk to you guys. But if you are, if you're a healthy person, it's very likely you're not going to have any troubles at all. If you deal with something like epilepsy, then, you learn the herbs and the essential oils that you can't take. It's kind of like people with hypothyroidism need to be careful with lemon balm, which is safe for the vast majority of people. So those are the things that you learn. If you're on certain medications, then you know that, okay, there are certain essential oils you need to be careful with. There are certain herbs that you just want to avoid or just use in small amounts. Okay. Rachel says, is spearmint and lemon balm helpful for migraines when one comes on or on a regular basis? Oh man, you've suffered from them for a long time. I'm so sorry. Okay, so and I see you're trying feverfew. My favorite combination for migraines is lemon balm, feverfew, and spearmint in equal parts. So you can blend those together and make a tea, and you can drink that every day. It's a nice tonic drink. You don't need a lot of it. You can also tincture it in tincture form, and then you would take about a half a teaspoon a day as a tonic. If you're starting to get a migraine, then you'd want to use a dropper full or two, probably every hour or so, or maybe even every 30 minutes if it's just coming on. But those herbs work together to support the nervous system, and they do something with what's going on with the migraines. And scientists don't really know a lot of what is going on with the plants and why they work so well. They're learning, and studies are being done like crazy in the West right now. But a lot of times you'll hear they don't know why the mechanism works like it does, but it does. And here's another thing just to be aware of too. A lot of times, this happens actually all the time, science will want to take one constituent out of a plant and turn it into a drug. Well, what happens when you've done that is you've taken this one chemical out, and now all of a sudden you've got side effects going on in your body because you are not using the whole plant. The whole plant has a whole group of chemicals that work together that support what it's supposed to do in our bodies. So when we use the whole plant, what's happening is that we are giving our bodies the support it needs. And that's why so many herbs just don't have the side effects that drugs have. I know I just went off on a little tangent there. I'm very sorry. But Rachel, I would suggest that for the migraines. Lavender is wonderful too, and you could certainly add some lavender. But really, I personally had really good results working with clients with the spearmint feverfew and the lemon balm. Let's see. Oh, Maria, this is a great question, Maria. With the mints, would it be better to blend all the mints and make a tea with that blend to get the benefits all at once? You know what? It's going to taste a little funky. But you certainly could. I mean, there's no reason that I can think not to. However, I would suggest looking into each of those individual mints to learn a little bit more about each of them one by one. And then you can make decisions about what you want to create. So you guys, I have a formulary class in the school, and this is, it's a pretty good course to take if you want to learn how to create your own formulas. And it's not that expensive either. It's a pretty good one. But basically, when you are getting ready to formulate a blend for yourself, and I talk about, do I teach this in Ditch the Drugstore? I don't think I do, but I can. I don't mind doing that. What happens is you have to have an intention. So you don't just randomly make stuff. You need to say to yourself, okay, I'm going to make this, elderberry tincture here with the intention of it supporting my immune system. And then you decide what you want to do with that. So sometimes herbalists will go ahead and add other herbs to make it work even better, like astragalus or something like that. But when you set that intention up in front of yourself before you start, then you can really make beautiful, wonderful blends that are not random. Okay. And that's the goal here. Because that's kind of what I did when I first started. I was just pulling herbs from hither and yon and going, let's try this. And then, yeah. No, don't do that. Have a good intention. Nadine wants the relaxation tea blend formula. Nadine, if you go to my website and you do a search for, just put relax, or I don't know, relax tea or something, it should pop up. Nadine says, how much herb to oil do you use for an infusion? Okay, so this is going to depend on the herb, but and also if it's like St. John's wort, you kind of pack the jar. But other herbs, you're going to use anywhere between 1/3 to 1/2 of the herbal matter, and then You're going to fill the jar. So that's like the folk method. And you could definitely get into the standardized method and measure everything out. But generally speaking, you're going to have great results with those basic measurements for most herbs. Some will be different. Let's see. Will I have a transcript of the Zoom that we could download? There's so much great info. Oh, thank you, Deanne. Joe says he wrote me a note. He's going to try to get an app for that. This is one thing I have an admission to make. I am horrible at the technology, you guys. And I'm old. What can I say? I didn't grow up with it. I grew up with, when I was a senior in high school, calculators just came out that year. That's how old I am. There were no computers in my school. So yeah, I struggle, but I'm getting better year after year. So anyway. Megan, good question here. Does the color of the yarrow matter? This is up for debate. Some herbalists say absolutely it does. Other herbalists say no, you can use them all the same. I say it does. I think that because I grow both. I grow both the pink and the yellow as well as the white. I think the white and the wild yarrow too, if you can get that, is really the best. Oh, Sandy says, how much is the course? Okay, so, huh?
And Jessica wants to know where the link is.
Oh, Joe, can you put it in the chat? Okay, let me see if I can write it in the chat for you guys here. Yeah, I wanted you to put the link in the chat if you can. Oh, well,
Where
yeah,
do I find it?
on the last slide. I'll get that. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'll get that link for you. Okay, so the course is $297. That is for a really intensive 6 to 8 weeks. At this point, I'm planning on 8 weeks. So that includes me showing up every single week in video, in live chats. There are replays. You can ask your questions during the chat or ahead of time. Sometimes people will think of a question when they're on the chat. You can go ahead and ask it right then and there too. If it's a question I can't answer, then I will research it for you and get an answer. If you have trouble with a formula, or if you have a special person that you're working with, I can help you formulate for that person as well. So anyway, it's $297. There is a payment plan. I think that I've got it set at $157 in 2 payments. I also have another option that's $497, and that one comes with 2 little consultations with me, and also a formula that I create for you for something that you don't feel comfortable with yourself. So that's kind of a special option. Okay. And then, let's see here. Kim says, do you add ginger to a humidifier, or is there a better way? You can definitely add the ginger essential oil to a diffuser. Now, with a humidifier, you'd want to look at the manufacturer's instructions, but you could do that, like to get the steam into the air or to get the mist into the air. Definitely. And the mints would also be good, but you do absolutely want to look at your manufacturer's instructions because they're all different. Robin says, is garlic bad for cats and dogs? I wouldn't feed garlic to your cats and dogs, but if you are, giving them scraps from your food, I wouldn't worry about it. but no, yeah, cats and dogs shouldn't probably be having garlic. It's very strong. And I know, like for worms, I'm going to just mention how I do things. I trust the plants far more than I trust medications. And that goes for my pets too. I will turn to plant medicine before I'll turn to medications. So if I had like an animal with a worm problem, I would figure out some kind of a nice little formula to give my cat or dog. Okay. For fleas and ticks, I use essential oils. I mean, there are a lot of things that you can do, but I'll just say this. I am not a medical doctor. I'm an herbalist. I'm an enrollment therapist. I have a lot of experience in those areas, but I'm not a doctor. So this is where, you know, we're all at different comfort levels with both medicine and plant medicine. And this is where you've got to find your path in that and figure out where you are comfort level wise. Okay. And as far as animals go, I rely on, there's a book I have by Melissa Shelton, DVM. She's a veterinarian, and she's written an animal desk reference, and I really like it. It's laid out very well. It's non-biased toward any particular essential oil brand, which I think is important. And I think she's done a very good job with that. Okay, so I went off on another little tangent. I'm sorry. All right, Kim says, what do you suggest for making homemade apple cider vinegar? I have some mother, but don't know where to go from there. Oh gosh, Kim, I have a blog post on that on my website with all the directions for apple cider vinegar, and I also have a YouTube video on the YouTube channel for fruit vinegars, and the process is just the same, only you're going to use apples. Okay. Kim says, is cocoa butter good to make an ointment, or do I need beeswax? Okay, so you can use only the hard butters, like cocoa butter is quite hard, but you're not going to get that firm, savvy feel. It's just still going to be kind of buttery. So I like to use beeswax in mine, as well as other carrier oils. And then let's see. Megan, okay, so the course, I'm closing it next Friday, okay? So, oh, okay, Joe just gave you a link, but that's not the right one. I'm very sorry. That one doesn't have all of the options. Try this right here. All right, try that one. Maybe this will work. Oh, whoops, I sent it to Sandy. I don't know why it didn't go to everybody. It's still not the right one. Trust me on that. I just sent this to Sandy direct message, and I can't seem to find the one to send to everybody. So I don't know if Sandy, if you're here, if you could do me a favor and maybe copy that into the chat, I would really appreciate it. Otherwise, you guys, let me go back to that slide. I'll just share my screen again and go back to the slide that has the link. It's right there, okay? So it's https:// like bit.ly, then / and then DTOTC. Okay, the link that Joe is giving you will take you to the school page, but I don't have it updated. So I'd rather have you use this link right here. You'll see the options that I have there for you now. Okay, and I'll get that other, I'll get the school one updated too. But yeah, so you guys, the course is really good. It comes with many resources. It comes with my essential oil reference guide that's very complete. So you'll know how to use essential oils safely with even elders who are on medicines, or even young children and babies. There's tons of recipes. So, and it does come with a family apothecary plan that I walk you through too. All right. I hope you'll join us, you guys. I guess. Oh. Deanna says, my husband has chronic severe back pain due to a spinal infusion. Oh, I'm sorry. He's been on hydrocodone for years. Would herbs help? You know, Deanna, they may. Here's the thing about medical issues where you've been on a medication for a long period of time. The longer you've been on that medication, the harder it is to get off of it, to be honest. I've got friends who've been on antidepressants for 20 years, and they're still trying to ease off after 5, 6, 7 years, you know. So herbs can help. When you're going off of a medication like hydrocodone, there are going to be issues in your body because your body has changed in how it behaves based on that medicine. So like constipation is extremely common with people who use the pain medications like oxycodones or the opioids and things like that. So he'd probably have to work with somebody if he's been on them for a long time. The other thing is he could just try to ease off and see how that goes. But, you know, and that's something where working with an herbalist on a consult, you know, kind of situation is really helpful, or working with a naturopathic doctor is a good choice too. We have different, you know, kinds of knowledges, and a lot of times we work together, but definitely I would say the herbs can help. And there's definitely herbs that can help with the physical discomforts. So, and I just want to mention one more thing about the Ditch the Drugstore course. So you guys, this course is not going to be, because we're all going to be working together fast and hard, okay? So this course isn't going to be for like major medical issues. It's just not that kind of a course. The Confident Herbalist Tribe might be a better place if you if you're wanting to work on some kind of a health situation, because it's just a slower process. And honestly, when you're working with some kind of a health issue, like when I started working with my high blood pressure, I didn't just dive into doing all the right things. Okay. So I had to work with my own body, and I had to, and that's another thing, by the way, herbalism helps you get to know your body like really well, you know, and when you know your body really well, then you can make some excellent decisions about what you're doing and the drugs you're choosing, if you have knowledge of the drugs. But anyway, I digress. When I started with the high blood pressure not medication, I was on that for a short time and it didn't work. It was horrible. I had side effects. I started down that path where I had another medication for the side effects, and then another and at that point I was like, yeah, that was actually my last straw. And when I said I'm done. And I did a lot of research on hypertension, and I thought about my life and what I was doing with it, and my stress levels, and how I was treating my my emotions, and even my spirituality came into play with all of that. And you know, we are whole body systems, right? We are more than just our body. We are tremendously what goes on in our minds and our spirits too. So there's a lot that goes on with everything. So when you're working on a major issue or a major problem, it's a really good idea to, you know, get some support, but start thinking about the cause. Start thinking about why it's happening. And I'll talk, you know what, since we were talking about the back pain a moment ago, my L4, L5, I was in a situation where I was having to look at surgery. That was the next step. I was on the oxycodone and Xanax, and I couldn't take it because it turned me into a zombie. So either I had a choice. I could be a zombie or I was in tremendous pain. And that is actually about the point that I found essential oils and started working with wintergreen and some others that I didn't know enough about back then to be working with, because wintergreen can be dangerous. But anyway, I used those, and then I did some exercises that I found that really helped. But the number one thing I did was I started managing my stress. And when I started managing my stress, everything else kind of fell into place, and eventually things healed up. I don't have back pain anymore, and I didn't have any procedures done, nor did I stay on the medication. So it's just, I think a lot of it's actually mind over matter too. But anyway, so Ditch the Drugstore, you guys, it's a course for common ailments. Okay. It's a course to help you get your home apothecary figured out. And if you do have medical issues that you want to address, it's a starting place. Okay. So I'm not making any promises about, you know, this is not a consultation class or anything like that. This is let me help you get started fast. If you're new to herbalism, I want you doing it in a safe, effective way that you're going to be confident with. Okay. And I'm going to give you a number of different recipes that are going to fit your family. All righty. So guys, I guess we'll go ahead and sign off. We've been on here for a long time. So all right, you guys. Yeah, Sandy, thank you so much. Sandy put that link in the chat too. Oh, Megan asked a great question. Is there lifetime access to the course? Yes, there is. That's another thing too. Like I had people who purchased it the first time around and they couldn't get to it. Life happens. My stepdad passed in the middle of that course and it really threw a wrench into my life too. So that's why I actually added 2 weeks on, and why I think I'm going to add 2 weeks onto this one too. I just think that extra 2 weeks was helpful. But you can come back through and do this course anytime. Okay, next time. So like, let's just say you can't get to it in this round. When I do a third round, which I'm thinking might be in like January or February, then you can come back through it again. So people who own it can do it as many times as they want. They have access to all the upgrades. The live or the replays from the chats and the question and answers, guys, I'm saving those for you. They are in the course materials. So people who are joining Ditch the Drugstore for this round, you're already getting all of the live chats from the previous first round of the course. So there's a lot in there, and I'm here to help you. Okay. Maria says, what is violet herb used for? I love violet. Violet is very mucilaginous, which means it's very kind of like slimy when it's infused. It's very good for your digestive system. It helps your lymphatic system. It moves lymph. So you can infuse it in oil too. And it's wonderful if you have like cysts in your breasts or things like that. It can help just move that stuff out. Okay, Kim, I'm sorry. I understand that. Let's see here. Yep, Megan, it's, yeah, Joe is saying it's to all the lives and upgrades. Have you put up the recipe ebook yet? You know what? It's in the course, Majal. Okay. I don't know if I said that right. I'm sorry if I messed it up. You can get a physical copy of it if as a member of the course. This is only for members of the course, but you can get a physical copy, and we're discounting it. I think Joe's got it on like a 60% discount, and that's to make it reasonably priced for you guys. Okay. Okay. All right, you guys. We'll go ahead and sign off. If you've got other questions, you can totally ask in the group. And I hope to see you in the course. Okay. All right. I'll talk with you guys soon in the group. Bye-bye.